The skyline of Chicago glowed under the evening lights, skyscrapers reaching for the heavens as though they carried secrets in their steel frames. The city had a rhythm of its own, a constant heartbeat of taxis honking, trains rattling above the streets, and people weaving through the crowd with determination. Yet in the middle of that chaos was a quiet little coffee shop called Harbor Brews, tucked into a corner of River North. It was there, one rainy afternoon, that Sophia Bennett found her story beginning. Sophia had moved back to Chicago after years of working as a writer in Boston. At 27, she carried a quiet confidence mixed with lingering doubts about where she truly belonged. She had once loved this city, the lake breeze, the bustling neighborhoods, the way the streets seemed alive at night. But returning wasn't easy. Her heart carried scars, not just from career struggles, but from a relationship that had ended in betrayal. She promised herself she wasn't looking for love again. Not now, not yet. She sat by the window of Harbor Brews, sipping a cappuccino, when the door opened with a gust of wind, and a man stepped in. He shook the rain from his jacket, his dark blonde hair slightly messy from the storm. His blue eyes swept the room casually before he ordered a black coffee. There was nothing unusual about him at first glance, except for the quiet presence he carried, as if the room itself adjusted to his arrival. His name, she would later learn, was Ethan Parker. At 29, Ethan had built a life around architecture, designing buildings that blended elegance with strength. But tonight, he didn't look like a man thinking about skyscrapers. He looked lost in thought. Sophia noticed him because he noticed her. As he picked up his coffee, his eyes met hers, and there was a moment, a pause long enough to feel like recognition, even though they had never met before. He smiled politely. She returned the gesture, and just like that, a silent thread connected them. For weeks afterward, their encounters became something of a rhythm. She wrote in the cafe, and he often stopped by after late meetings. Slowly, their polite nods turned into brief conversations. She learned he was from Denver originally, had moved to Chicago for work, and that he was passionate about buildings because he believed architecture is like storytelling. You build something that lasts beyond you. She told him about her writing, how she had once dreamed of publishing novels, but had settled for freelance work to pay the bills. What surprised Sophia most was how easy it was to talk to Ethan. His presence felt steady, like a foundation she hadn't realized she was missing. Yet beneath his calm voice and polite demeanor, she sensed shadows. Sometimes when he thought no one was watching, his jaw tightened, his gaze distant as though haunted by something he couldn't escape. One evening, as autumn painted the city gold and crimson, Sophia stayed late at the cafe finishing an article. Ethan walked in, looking more restless than usual. He sat across from her without asking, his eyes troubled. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. He hesitated before answering. "There are things I should probably never tell you. But I can't seem to stop coming here. Can't seem to stop running into you." Her heart skipped. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Ethan studied her, almost as if searching for reassurance. "I've made mistakes, Sophia. Not crimes, nothing like that. But choices. Choices that hurt people. And I don't know if I deserve this." He gestured faintly toward her, toward the possibility of what was between them. Sophia reached across the table, her voice steady. "We've all made mistakes. What matters is who we choose to be now." Their hands brushed, a spark igniting something unspoken between them. But before either could say more, his phone buzzed. Ethan glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. Without a word, he excused himself and left the cafe, leaving Sophia with questions burning in her chest. The next day, news spread across Chicago. Another suspicious fire had broken out downtown. This was the third in the past 2 months, each one targeting properties linked to a development firm. Sophia's instincts as a writer pulled her toward the story. She started researching, piecing together articles, and her blood ran cold when she discovered that the properties targeted had ties to Ethan's company. Her mind wrestled with fear and doubt. Could Ethan be involved? No, she couldn't believe that. Yet the coincidences were piling up. She confronted him a week later when they met again. "Ethan, I need you to be honest with me," she said firmly. "Why do all these fires seem connected to your firm?" He stiffened, his blue eyes stormy. "You think I set them?" "I don't know what to think," she admitted. "But if you're in some kind of trouble, you need to tell me." For a long moment he was silent. Then, finally, he spoke.